Trap City, was the murder of King Von a setup? Let's get into it. Let's see what this nigga talking about. It's my boy.
How is it that when a celebrity gets shot in front of his armed security,
we learning today, y'all. So put y'all thinking caps on. Let's really see what they talking about.
security doesn't fire back? Why did King Von, at the last minute, decide to go to the lounge he would eventually be killed at when it wasn't part of the original plan? Why was the man he attacked seemingly caught off guard despite walking right past King Von's entourage? And did NBA Youngboy really tell Von that when he killed him, he would show the world his body?
Hey, ask about YB.
You talking about the voice message that YB sent?
Oh, yeah.
The man said, "When I kill you, I'ma show the world your body. When I kill you, I'ma show the world." I said, "Man, who is that?" He said, "Man, that's the nigga Youngboy."
Now, for the past 5 years, the question of what happened to King Von seemed pretty
I ain't gonna front, that's fucked up, because niggas definitely saw some autopsy and shit. I thought that shit was fake, but that shit definitely alright.
cut and dry. Rappers die all the time, and this event happened to be caught on camera, and it seemed pretty clear. He punched a man in a stand your ground state, and he lost his life for it. Von had made a statement, as well as people in his entourage, that he wasn't cool with NBA Youngboy or any of his associates. So how did Von and Youngboy's associate end up at the same hookah lounge on the same night at the same time? One group had just come from a nightclub, and the other group had just come from a video shoot. Could it have really been a coincidence that they crossed paths? I'm sure as many of you have seen recently, Vonnie, a very strange associate of the whole OTF camp, his father has recently come out with several allegations, all after a leaked phone call where Vonnie was seemingly admitting that he was going to take a plea deal and make sure that he got less time than Lil Durk and the other guys on the Lil Pad murder from Beverly Hills. Now, Vonnie's father has made some very heinous accusations.
Oh, so this nigga was a part of the situation where Quando Rondo man's got hit up.
The ending of a shooting that started in Beverly Grove. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV. This man, a passenger in that car, frantic at the site. It all started at this mobile gas station at 5:30 Friday evening.
But the fact that it comes from his own father, I can't just
But he was also at the King Von situation, I think. That's what this nigga is insinuating.
dismiss it as all lies, especially since he himself explains that the main factor behind him airing out all of this business is money. Which, although petty, is very believable. Vonnie, a man from Detroit, whose only connection with these gang members out of Chicago is that his father was close friends with King Von's father. But Von's father has been dead since 2005, nearly 20 years before Von died. But for some reason, Vonnie had weaseled his way in between two of the biggest artists coming into 2020. He's seen in several videos carrying the money and making big purchases for both Lil Durk and King Von, a man who's not even from Chicago.
This purse holding ass nigga, get your ass out of there. I'm thinking this, nah, get this.
And in the immediate aftermath of Von's death, several allegations came out that people close to him were stealing from him, such as security footage showing men seemingly running from his home carrying items that they didn't come in with, and then there was talk of money missing out of the safety deposit boxes. And Vonnie's father claims that at least the safety deposit box was his son's doing. Now, Vonnie's father claims that Lil Tim, the man who was credited with shooting King Von after he attacked Quando Rondo, was paid months before the incident even took place. But is he telling the truth? He claims that his son is the reason for the entire hookah lounge incident where Von attacked Quando Rondo and ended up getting shot, just based on how the people.
Yo, what's up with the fathers now in 2025? Niggas is bugging. Everybody toiling on their sons and talking about their sons and shit. Like, what made son just bring this shit up?
Around Von spoke of him. It appears that Von was a very predictable guy. Even before he was a superstar in Chicago, it was pretty much known that if he said he was going to do something to you when he caught you, that's exactly what was going to happen. And he made it clear, as well as an associate of his, Lil Reese, that when he caught Quando Rondo, something was going to happen. The plan after they left the first club was for everybody to go back to the Airbnb they had in Atlanta. But of course, that's not what happened. Vonnie's father is somehow insinuating that Vonnie is the reason that Von rerouted his caravan to the Monaco Hookah Lounge. So, just looking at it from the perspective of somebody that was trying to set up a murder. Now, knowing that Georgia is a stand your ground state, and Von being a hothead, having him pull up to the location of someone that he says he's going to attack when he sees them, seems like the perfect bait to get him shot. But what would have been the reason for anyone?
I'm not gonna lie, like, in some theory, searching like that sound like some crazy shit. Like, this nigga really set it up to all right, nigga, we in Atlanta, and we gonna go to this club. He gonna get into a Quando Rondo. Nah, I ain't gonna front that shit.
One of Von did. The first person that was blamed in any kind of conspiracy for this was Lil Durk, who at the time was not legally allowed to be around King Von due to a case that they had involving an attempted murder and a robbery. And mysteriously, Lil Durk seemed to go live at the same time that King Von was getting shot. Now, I've seen at least one guy, King AK-47, say that this looked like something that was going to establish an alibi. Now, the question is, why did Lil Durk have Vonnie around him? For him to get such a prominent position, despite not knowing any of them, it seems like some agreement would have had to be made, especially with Lil Durk, since he was seen carrying money for Lil Durk, and he is the alleged money man on the murder for hire case that Durk is facing right now. So, the events at the Monaco Hookah Lounge. I was completely unaware that Von even had armed security there because the only 3 people that were reported to have fired back were Louis, Slutty, and BJ.
You ain't going nowhere. I saw him shoot.
Louis and Slutty ended up being shot by undercover cops who were sitting at the scene watching the entire thing, which is also very suspicious. And one of Von's associates can even be heard telling Von's security, "Kill him," as if he was wondering why the security guard had done nothing. And Vonnie, who again is not even from Chicago, couldn't have had a close bond with any of them, as out of everything his father said, that is the most likely, that he was only there for money. And being the money man, he would probably know how easy it would be for him to steal money out of King Von's security deposit boxes, as he had probably made several trips to the bank with King Von depositing his money. And regardless of if you believe that King Von was some type of serial killer or not, it's more than likely that he would have been serving 25 to life for something had he still been alive today. And everyone around him knew this. The FBI say he was their lead suspect in a murder from 2014, and as I said, one of Lil Durk's lawyers said on the Atlanta News that he would be the one charged in the Atlanta case had he still been alive, not Lil.
Shit, nigga wouldn't even be able to reap none of his all them benefits down the drain.
Durk. So somebody that wasn't his friend in the first place, and especially someone that was heartless, would have.
But you know who would be getting the benefits? Durk. But now that shit is all fucked up because my son actually slid for Von and shit like that. But we gotta see how son go through. Word. Alhamdulillah. Hopefully my son get through it good and well.
No problem getting him out the way for a quick come up. And the allegation of him being told that when he was killed, they were going to show the world his body just can't be a coincidence. Only certain people are allowed in a room to take a picture like that. So for someone to jeopardize their job and likely freedom, there had to be some type of money involved. Nobody just did this for fun. Now, I know.
Word, niggas definitely took a picture, 2 pictures of the autopsy.
Damn! You guys thought that we were already talking about conspiracy theories, but we still haven't gotten to the actual conspiracy theory pushed by Vonnie's father. Now, in the interviews he did with both Trenches News and DJ Academics, Vonnie's father said 2 things that honestly it's hard to know if he's saying this from what he actually witnessed or if he's just been reading and watching conspiracy theories and he might think he's connecting the dots himself. But he says that in his talks with King Von, he says that King Von told him that he knew he only had 3 or 4 years to do his music, and he did not fully elaborate on that, but he says that King Von had some type of meeting, and after this meeting, King Von kinda told him that he knew that he had a limited amount of time. And not only did he connect the music industry with Israel, but he also connected NBA YoungBoy's involvement with YoungBoy's subsequent pardon that he received from Donald Trump. Now listen, I am always open to a conspiracy theory, and I'm definitely always open to hear a testimony from somebody who was around a certain situation. But if I'm being honest, I don't see much of a connection between King Von and NBA YoungBoy's pardon. Do I think it was strange that YB was pardoned by the President of the United States, who's likely never even heard of him? Yes, I think that was very strange, and I do think there was some type of agenda behind that pardon. And like I said, the autopsy picture is a very strange thing to come out. Now, I've seen a gang member die and one of his ops with a connection at the hospital have an autopsy picture come out. But that doesn't mean it's something that happens often, and it definitely doesn't mean that it's something that somebody can easily come by. Because you have to be a certain staff member to even get in a room like that. So what would make what Vonnie's father saying true? Well, I know he's not getting paid much to go on these interviews and say the things that he's saying. When he speaks, he genuinely sounds like he's speaking out of remorse and that he's had to sit by and watch something, because he and Von's father were close friends, which is why many people thought that Vonnie was King Von's cousin, but they are in fact not related. So I'm going to stand by that there has to be some truth in what Vonnie's father is saying. And I heard the phone call where Vonnie was saying that he wants to get less time than Lil Durk, which is a guy that let him handle millions of dollars. So at the very least, we can prove that Vonnie is a slimy character, and that accusing him of setting up anybody would not be out of the ordinary for him. So in the end, it's clear that King Von didn't just die because he attacked someone in a stand your ground state. A witness on the scene who doesn't have any social media presence, just some random guy that was caught on a police body cam, even said that it looked like a setup.
These motherfuckers just pulled up. They got his blind jumping out the car. They knew it was set up before they got down.
And although King Von could have avoided this entire situation himself by not being a hothead, I do believe that somewhere, this entire situation.
It was set up before they just pulled up. They got his blind jumping out the car.
Blade concert shit. Look at
They
that.
knew it was set up before they got down.
And although King Von could have avoided this entire situation himself by not being a hothead, I do believe that somewhere, somebody was pulling strings to make sure things went exactly how they went. But that's all I got.
My son, Trap University, man. That shit fucked up. Maybe it was a fake hit on that boy. Maybe it wasn't. But you know what really was true, though? He was going to get time regardless. Damn! Good video, my nigga.